Now, there's a guy called Curtis Jackson. You may know him better as 50 Cent. He had a smash hip-hop hit called 21 Questions, and it seems like the Hawks are about to take a leaf out of his book with their own 27 questions. Maybe they're trying to get one up on 50 Cent. This is the Moneymakers. I'm Bruce Whitfield. Tonight I'm joined by Thabi Leoka, who's economic strategist at Argon Asset Management, and Ralph Mathekga, political analyst at the Mapungubwe Institute for Strategic Reflection, to discuss the implication of this. No, it's not a war of attrition. My producers say it's a war of attrition, but we know it's not a war of attrition because the president yesterday said it's not.
Well, it depends, Bruce, which side of the fence you stand. The president is saying that it's not a war, but at the same time, we know that processes are underway against the SARS commissioner, and nothing changes when it comes to the substance of what is going on. But the rhetoric is shifting.
What is the substance of what is going on?
The substance of what is going on, as it has been reported on, is that there is an investigation which implicates the finance minister, Pravin Gordhan, going back to the rogue unit that is reported to have operated within SARS.
Let's go back 3 or 4 days, shall we? Let's go back to Friday morning last week, where Pravin Gordhan and Trevor Manuel were on a public podium and were both very outspoken in terms of the role of the SARS commissioner, in terms of the Hawks 27 questions which had been sent the week before. Not only were they massively outspoken, but suddenly out came a statement from the Secretary General of the ANC, Gwede Mantashe, expressing unequivocal support. Then later on that afternoon came a statement from the presidency saying, oh, these rumours about conspiracy against Pravin Gordhan are complete rubbish. And then came a statement from Pravin Gordhan saying there's a conspiracy, and these 27 questions have come through and they're trying to intimidate me. And then on Monday we get a statement from the president saying all these reports are mischievous. Bad media are making up stories. Pravin and I are besties. I mean, that's essentially what's been happening, Thabi, over the last week or so.
That's correct. I mean, from an economic point of view, it's really confusing. If you look at the risks that we face, the risk of being downgraded, and what the rating agencies have been saying all along is that we're not very clear in terms of our policy. And this is just a clear example of the policy uncertainty, that certain leading people in government say something and then they support someone else the next day. So it just becomes very, we don't know what's going on.
But isn't this a fight that needs to happen? Isn't this a fight that needs to happen? And it's best. I mean, nobody likes to air their dirty laundry in public, but for once, my feeling is we should take this dirty laundry, we should stick it up on a line for everybody to see, so that we can get the transparency and we can get resolution as quickly as possible.
I agree to a certain extent, but at the same time, at what cost? If you look at last week, the rand actually weakened by a rand.
It started the week. Pre-budget was 15-ish.
Was 15. It actually was going to 14. And post-budget, it weakened somewhat. But then during the war, on Friday, it went to 16.30. So it is over a rand of weakness due to this, not only the budget, but also this tension between the SARS commissioner and the minister.
Now, the thing about the SARS commissioner and his appointment, and talking to people who understand these things last week, traditionally the SARS commissioner is appointed by the president on the recommendation of the finance minister. That's how Pravin Gordhan was appointed by Trevor Manuel, and that's how Pravin Gordhan's successor was appointed. When Moyane was appointed the SARS commissioner, and Nene was bypassed, the president made that appointment directly. So that puts Pravin Gordhan in a very difficult position because he has got absolutely no direct leverage. He's got to go via the president to control Moyane, who defied an executive order in December. That executive order was stop your restructuring of SARS, and he carried on.
In principle, Bruce, SARS is the implementing agency of National Treasury. What that means is that while the SARS commissioner is accountable to Parliament, is also accountable to National Treasury. They have to work together. Treasury will set the target when it comes to revenue collection, and the SARS commissioner has to support that. But as you correctly say, what seems to be clear now is that the current commissioner at SARS seems not to be not having a good relationship with the finance minister. And there is a very strong perception, Bruce, that we can't ignore, that actually Pravin Gordhan is not even Zuma's appointment. It's like President Jacob Zuma was forced to appoint Pravin Gordhan.
He had a boot on the back of his head
Certainly.
And there were very powerful figures within the ANC and in business who said to him, look, we'll release the pressure off the back of your head, but you've got to appoint Pravin Gordhan. That's going to cause some resentment.
Exactly, that is going to cause some resentment, and that is why now speculations are that actually the SARS commissioner is being used to frustrate Treasury Minister, and this is unworkable. We have heard that Pravin maintained that either one of them has to go. It's Thabi saying it just sent a wrong signal that we are willing to play with economic policy, the fiscal stance. We are willing to play with the most key ministry in the government.
But if you believe the conspiracy theories that Moyane is supplanted into the National Treasury as part of an attempt to hijack the state, then Des van Rooyen and his advisors who went into the National Treasury in the middle of December and got Moyane there. I mean, all of this suggests that we actually have to take this bag, shake it upside down and see what falls out of it. It's not comfortable.
No,
it's not comfortable one little bit. And yes, it's expensive. But the consequences of not having this fight, Thabi, surely are much bigger.
Definitely. I mean, I wrote in the Sunday papers a piece that I thought it would be controversial, but it seems like people took it, well, that maybe we deserve a downgrade because we are.
Deserve a downgrade?
I think we deserve it. I think we deserve it, and here's why. For exactly what you just said, that maybe we need to be exposed. Maybe we need to feel the pinch, because I think that in the past we've been buffered by a whole lot of, either global growth or EM, an interest in emerging markets. And suddenly now it's like we are now all alone. We are now, our dirty laundry is being exposed. And let us clean this up, and hopefully we will then move into better territory. But until such time, there'll always be.
Downgrade, though? I mean, I get you, but can't we do it without a downgrade?
But we're not helping ourselves currently. No. Here we are playing with the fiscus, and here we are also. I mean, if the SARS commissioner is busy going to court and busy not dealing with revenue collection, and he's, there's this investigation, and if you've also occupied the Minister of Finance with 27 questions instead of him thinking about how to implement this budget, how to grow the economy, how do you expect us to not be downgraded if this is going on? Everybody, imagine if you're an international investor. Last October, you saw Minister Mnene after his MTBPS speech. So the Treasury goes on an international roadshow, selling South Africa. So you see a team of Treasury guys, very smart guys, accompanied by the minister, or the minister accompanied by his strong team. And a few months later, you see a different minister accompanied by the same team trying to sell you the same story. Are you going to believe South Africa Inc.? Are you going to believe that South Africa Inc. is in control?
I don't think we need a downgrade to pick the lessons.
I get Thabi's point. I mean, the point is that, it certainly might add on about in your day, but the threat of the big stick was always present, and occasionally the big stick was wielded. In my case, the threat of the big stick was usually enough. In South Africa's case, we seem to be ignoring the threat of the big stick, and maybe we do need that wrap across the backside.
If there were philosophical positions about this, suppose the whole interference had to do with pursuing a particular maybe approach to the economy or economic policy, yes, I would say that maybe we deserve that downgrade. But there is nothing philosophical. This is just sheer patronage. And I think that once those institutions are being captured, I don't think any downgrade will get us to actually get things right. We might remain in that position for quite longer, because at the center of this, the consistent explanation that seems not to die is that there is an attempt to capture the state interest. There is an attempt to capture the treasury and to capture the fiscus as well. I don't think there is any value in that. I think we cannot gain from that.
Tell me, how important is politics and how important is policy and how important are the numbers in the downgrade decision? Because the numbers are feasible. The policy is improving, the politics is dark and dirty.
The politics is supposed to supplement or at least implement policy. And if politics is failing, then we won't get the numbers.
Well, maybe politics is working for the first time in a long time.
It's not, because the concentration now is on a battle. There's a battle between the commissioner and the finance minister, and it's also dividing politics, the ANC. whereas we need policy implementation. I mean, the policy implementation goes all the way, from RDP all the way to the National Development Plan, which we have not yet, fully implemented, or at least implemented enough to convince people that we are on our way. Then obviously who suffers? What suffers? The economy suffers. And so all three have to work together, and that's what rating agencies look at, not just the economy, but also how does policy work and how does politics work. And if the three are not moving in the same direction, then we are in trouble.
President Jacob Zuma has been terribly nice in the last couple of days. No, we're all best friends. It's all going to be fine, because deep down behind the scenes, there's the matter of spy tapes, there's the matter of the Constitutional Court, and he's got the sword of Damocles potentially hanging over his head, whether he likes it or not. From a timing perspective, how much time have we got before we understand the fate of Jacob Zuma?
Well, I think he's still going to be, he's going to be there for quite a while. I mean, I don't think any motion will succeed against him.
No.
And he has been able to push back against the whole spy tapes thing.
But the Constitutional Court thing is far more serious, and it was shown to be serious because Jeremy Gauntlet rolled over. And Jeremy Gauntlet doesn't roll over.
It's quite serious. And I think, Bruce, regarding the Constitutional Court, my inclination is that the court will try to stay out of politics. There is a political process that is underway here. It shouldn't take the court. The court, I think it will avoid being a proxy to some form of impeachment. They will say, let the political process roll against that. Whatever sanctions that they're likely to issue, my view is that they will stay out of sanctioning him on violating the Constitution. They're aware of the amount of judgment that they've already passed against his executive.
And there's the cold-blooded judgment which must be delivered on whether or not the Constitution was violated. You can't get political about it.
It's not an issue anymore. It's not an issue anymore, Bruce. I'll tell you, there is a separation. The man accepted that he's going to pay and all. When they went to court by then, the constitutional issue was actually a moot issue.
This isn't about the money anymore.
It was a moot issue at the point, and the court will stay out of it.
It's no longer about the money. It's about violation of the Constitution. And the court hopefully goes above politics. Thabi, how much time have we got before it's June is the real deadline? If we survive June, then we've probably got till December. So let's assume they give us the benefit of the doubt in June. If we don't get our politics in order by then, we've got a problem.
Yeah, we do. And remember that between June and December, we have the municipal elections. So that is even more something that the rating agencies will look at very closely. The outcome of that. I think from a political perspective, there's also pressure on spending, and campaigning will be limited because of the fiscus and the spending ceiling being lowered. So there's a whole cacophony of issues that not only the ANC has to deal with, but just the economy has is faced with.
Never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment. Global growth slowing down. EM is slowing down. Today we found out about Barclays selling a stake in South Africa.
Quarter growth last year, 0 point something. It's all. Stop talking. You're depressing me now. Thabi Leoka, economic strategist at Argon Asset Management, and Ralph Mathekga, who's a political analyst at the Mapungubwe Institute for Strategic Reflection. Two deep thinkers on issues of politics, deep and important right now, and of course the economy as well. That's it for the MoneyMakers for this evening. Big issues, of course, to resolve as the year unfolds. For now, try to get some sleep. Good night.